So two areas in which I'm trying to figure out with my team how we can leverage AI. Right? One is just how more productive my team can become in terms of building tagless. That's one area I'm hoping we can leverage AI to kind of hopefully quadruple our output, quality of output as well. And that's one thread that is being managed by somebody. And of course, on the inside, we're also trying to kind of find out how can we leverage AI to make a better product for our customers as well. So I think in every step, as founders, you will have to learn something. So, for example, in the consulting days, what I did learn from, I would say, my peers and my managers was things like soft skills. I've never really spoken to CEOs because I was a kid from India who went to engineering college here. But the kind of exposure I got in dealing with, corporate America, in dealing with the expectations of working with enterprise, all of that, I think, is something which helps me today because I can do that very, very easily when we sell to enterprise customers. I don't need a learning for it, right? So there are a lot of these kind of skills, like my attention to detail with numbers. I'm very, very comfortable with numbers because as a consultant, you make decisions purely basis numbers, right? Now, the concept of that is when you're a consultant, you get too obsessed with numbers. You never learn to trust your gut feel because that's business, right? But when you're in a startup, you have to have a combination of being able to make decisions between looking at numbers and also trusting your gut feel. So there was some unlearning as well, but definitely a lot of learning from consulting into like this particular role. So I have not worked with I don't know a lot of founders in America. My entire network in the US is still with my colleagues in Deloitte and my friends who work in professional companies like Apple, Google, right? So I can compare, for example, the American work culture versus the Indian work culture I've seen in a lot of places because I did spend, for example, another 1 year in India in work culture, which transcends. So one thing in general is I think with the American work culture, they are incredibly aggressive. They basically go out there to win. Like if you were to compete with an American company, you know for a fact that they'll go all in to kill you if you have to kill you, right? They just want to win. That sort of winning mindset is just incredible out there. I think they're so confident about themselves, it's unbelievable out there. And that's something which I'm hoping to actually start learning from them. I also feel like because of their network they have there, they're very, very well informed in general, right? A lot of them clearly are well ahead of the curve in terms of trends because they're very, very well connected out there. And I think the value for time in America is far ahead than India as well. Right? And that makes a very big difference in how slow we actually develop things out here as well. So that is a stark difference between them. But founders aside, I mean, I have friends there. I think the founders in America probably dream bigger, I feel, because for them sitting out of America, the market side itself is really, really big, right? So I just feel that when they start that entrepreneurial dream, their dreams are probably like much, much bigger than us. And I also feel that they don't have to face as many hurdles as I would say Indians trying to build a company here, right? Let's be honest. It's not very easy starting a company in India, right? So those are my observations so far. But I feel like if you can survive in India, building a company, you can build it in the world anywhere. Right from, I think, the early days, right? So today, fortunately, there is revenue, so we are able to pay our bills. But for about 7 years, we didn't have any revenue, right? And just the administrative costs to keep a company alive is just like, you want to shut it down, right? The amount of things to fill in, like taxation forms and all of that, it's mind-boggling, right? You want to first find a problem area. You want to solve a problem. You want to get paid for it, and you want to make it recurring, right? You want to start a business first before the overhead comes on you. And I felt that was pretty heavy in India, to be honest, right? Compared to what it is. And I've been fortunate to travel a little bit around the world right now. And I go to certain cities, like I've seen in Sydney, for example, right in downtown, the government of New South Wales has what's called the Sydney Startup Hub. And anyone can walk inside and just work from there. It's there. You have a great facility. So we didn't have those things for us out here to start with, right? And even today, for example, right now, like we have power cuts here, even today. And we're trying to build a global SaaS company competing against Silicon Valley when things like this happen today. So there are some, I would say, fundamental differences we have here, which is why I feel that the mindset to build a company here has got to be incredible. But when you build a company here, you can build it anywhere in the world. Well, I think about the data. One is our data is accurate because we built it, it's tested, it's QA verified, right? So once it's QA verified, it's authentic. Two, customers read it every day. And if there's any feedback or discrepancies, we hear it. We've never heard of that. So our job is to keep listening for feedback, If there's ever going to be any discrepancy in data, we get the feedback, we'll fix it. And regarding, let's say, integrity of data, like we follow all the safety precautions possible to store it privately as well, right, on Google Cloud right now. So we're doing what every software company in the world would do to ensure authentic, safe, reliable data. Honestly, I haven't given this too much a thought, but I think that I don't know about data and analytics, but kind of it all flows into AI today, right? AI is basically feeding off the data we collect. But I do feel that today, with AI being almost democratized and available to everyone to use, there's going to be a lot more opportunity for us to provide a lot more value to our customers, right? It's still early days, but it looks very, very promising. I can talk about Gen Z joining the workforce because almost, I think, 50% of our workforce at Tagalys is Gen Z. I think there's definitely, and let's say every generation, you can't generalize them, right? Every generation, there is a certain set of people that are going to be the right fit for you. I think it's important for us as founders to define who that is. So fortunately, today in my company, we do have about 5-6, we're a very small company, but about 5-6 of them are in Gen Z. They have been here with us for 2.5 years. I think they will stay here longer. And so far, from what I understand, they're enjoying their ride. So again, the purpose of trying to find this people partner right now, I'm trying to hire someone, is to understand why does Gen Z like us, right? So we've been lucky to find 5-6 of them that are working really well, and they're also seeing a lot of growth. How can we identify this in like some sort of a hiring criteria to find out more people like this within Gen Z, right? But overall, like I said, I don't care about the fact of them working for us. As a consumer, I'm not that, I haven't thought about it as much because it doesn't affect my life. But I do feel like I tell my teammates, my colleagues at my office, try and not spend more than what you earn. With Instagram, I know that there's a lot of aspiration out there. It's a lot of temptation out there. But I also feel like if you can live within your means, you have a lot more control of your life. Everything is a process, right? Everything is a story in life. So 2020, when we started competing in these markets, like we were just trying to kind of get some revenue, but slowly we started getting referred to bigger customers, and slowly we started winning against some of these larger players in the market, right? And today, like I said, our competitors know who we are. In the last 1 year, like I said, we've seen incredible growth, but also we've also seen our competition raise a lot of money, right? We've also seen our competition eat up the other competition as well. So things are getting tight as well. We are a bootstrap company. The only funding person is our customers today. So now when you're in a world, and in the last 1 year, as I mentioned, AI is also coming. We don't have a large team that is building things as fast enough as the competition, because they have a team that are 10 times our size, right? So if we're a team that's so small and you still want to win, how do you win? You can't compete with them in their space. You can't compete with them in their battleground. You got to change and do something different. So the one difference we have is we don't have investors, right? Our competition, all of them have large investors, which means that they have large expectations of returns, which means they have to go after all markets and all verticals. So when we looked at our data last year, we found out that because we're also growing only by word of mouth, like our entire growth has been only by word of mouth. We've not done any active marketing. We're going to start this year. But because we grew word of mouth, we started to get very, very similar customers. All our customers started becoming fashion brands in the world, right? We have top brands in London, top brands in Sydney, top brands in Melbourne, and not top brands coming in the US as well, because they talk to their friends, and they like the product. The customer experience is good. And therefore, all our feedback is also very, very similar, because they're all fashion brands, similar problems. And then we were thinking, why are we solving for everybody else when these people actually like us more? Let's just give up some money. So that was one thought process, which said, okay, it's possible. Then we also found out last year that there is one platform called Shopify. They were growing really well, fortunately, right? And Tagalys was serving 3 platforms. 3 platform means 3 tech backends. 3 tech backends means 3 different kinds of problems to solve here as well, which is more resources, more tension. So we said, let's remove these 2, focus on one, put a bet. Like as a startup, you have to also make bets. Now, I could be wrong. I'm not saying this is right. We don't know, but you have to make a bet. And you have to decide which is the best place you might survive. So based on last year's data, like I said, 100% growth on one platform, Shopify, right? 95% of that is in fashion. And clearly all those customers are referring us to more customers. Our average customer retention in that space is about 3 years. We have no contracts, which means we are delivering value month after month after month. So we're doing something right. Let's do it better. That was the thought process. So again, I go back to the core values of the company, right? So what we look for and what I have found in my earliest team are those three things I mentioned, right? One, they have this hunger to want to be the best in something, right? A lot of them have not been given a chance to prove themselves because they're not from IIT, IIM, or they're not from some place, right? But they want to prove themselves somewhere. They wanted a chance. I think all of them are incredibly nice people and they have a very caring, empathetic attitude in spite of that, right? And they respect each other. Because of these three core principles from within, when we talk to customers, it also comes on the outside. So I've also seen and heard from customers how we treat them differently as well, right? So there's clear, if you go online today and if you actually go to G2, it's a public review website where customers, merchants review companies. Even though we're from the fashion space, we have one of the best products in the market. If you read our reviews, they will only talk about customer experience. Oh, it's the best customer team. It's the best experience to work with them, right? It's the people aspect that makes them want to stay, even though there's no contracts. Why have contracts if they're happy with you, right? So clearly, I think I don't like to create noise. Like I like to have a very focused voice that goes somewhere in general, right? So there's got to be a very clear direction as to where I'm spending my time and what I want to get out of it. So in the early days, I was, I think, making noise, which is basically like you're trying to spray and pray, something works out. But once you start getting a little busy, and fortunately, like I said, we do have some customers, and therefore there are very specific problems to solve right now, where I have to prioritize as to, if I do this activity, what's the return on my time? Like how will the company gain? So from that perspective, the only writing I enjoy is writing on LinkedIn these days, right? For me, that's where I enjoy the most, is telling our story on LinkedIn to the world, because I feel like LinkedIn also has played a really, really important part in our journey, right? It's been very kind in terms of like basically giving us a small form of branding as well, to kind of showcase our customers around the world. So that's the kind of very focused voice I'd want, but no noise. That's also something I would encourage definitely founders to take up, right? Because if you don't have the confidence to come out there and talk about your brand and your story, nobody will, because you don't have a story yet. So that's something, again, I feel like Deloitte gave me that all this, when you work there, you have to go present to a board. So all of that, I feel, has helped me become a lot more comfortable. It's a lot more easier because of, I think, the work in Deloitte. So again, to young entrepreneurs, and I now go and talk to colleges, I'm trying to hopefully inspire one entrepreneur somewhere. But I would always say that the probability of success kind of goes up slightly if you have some work experience, right? I would not ever recommend jumping out of college directly. I know we have some success stories, no doubt. But I think the odds of success is slightly more if you were to go work somewhere, right? And learn from there what is good for you and come out of it. So Deloitte helped me find a lot of good things in my life. I think it has definitely, in multiple ways. Like from a professional standpoint, I think I am now meeting people that are so much more smarter than me that it's just like inspiring me a lot more to like, okay, I have to become so much better, right? And I go to these events and see people talking, presenting their dreams, how they vision, how they see building the world. So definitely being out there amongst the best in the world inspires you to want to become better. So definitely it's great for sure, right? I think on the personal front, when you're traveling, I spend close to 15 hours in a flight everywhere I'm flying at a minimum. You have a lot of time for self-reflection as well. And I do a lot of reflection these days. So I've started answering questions also, like you're building a company, all that's great, but also you're a human being first, right? Why are you doing this? What is the purpose behind this? Trying to understand where does this go from here, right? So I've been getting a lot more clarity with the travel because it's opened up a lot of, I would say, possibilities of what tomorrow can be. Read a lot on LinkedIn, that's why. So in my consumption time for knowledge, my sources of knowledge are usually LinkedIn and people who I respect and trust on LinkedIn, right? But I have read a few books during a certain tough times in my life. There was one recent book which I read, which I thought was a great book, was one by this founder and CEO called Stephen Bartlett. He is the founder and CEO of a company called Flight Studios from Manchester. And the book is called Diary of a CEO, right? That book, like I said, was a very funny, interesting book where I could relate to. It's just that the kinds of emotions you go through in your entrepreneurial journey, right, which you never share with anyone usually. It was very nice to see him writing it in a book, because then you feel like you're not that weird, right? So things are like, it's all normal. You know, you will get through this. You feel comfortable. So it's a great book for, I think, from a founder CEO perspective, The Diary of a CEO. That was good. There's another entrepreneur I met recently in India, Mr. Rajesh Jain from Netcode. He wrote a book called, I think, Profit Cons or something, right? So again, just talking about his journey. All of those books, basically, like I said, are very inspirational for me to understand that it is possible.